Hello! Today we're going to learn to write a linear equation in slope-intercept form given the slope and a point. So not necessarily the y-intercept. They'll give us the slope, so the one number we'll know when we just plug it in. What they won't necessarily give us is the y-intercept. They'll give us another point that's on the line somewhere, but we'll need to find the y-intercept. So let's first do the most simple one. They might do something like this. Write the linear equation in slope-intercept form of a line who has a slope of 2/3 and goes, if I can spell goes, through the point 0, 7. So they give us a point rather than the y-intercept. But sometimes, if we're lucky, the point they give us is the y-intercept. Remember that a point is an x value and a y value. And if the x value is 0, then the y that's paired with it is our y-intercept. So if they give you a point like this with an x value of 0, then the y value they give us is the y-intercept. So all I have to do is go y equals, again, they gave us a slope of 2/3. Always remember to write the variable x. And then since the y-intercept was 7, I put plus 7. Now, that was easy because they gave us the y-intercept where the x value is 0. They won't always do that. So let's do one where it's a little different. Let's say we're going to write the equation in slope-intercept form, so y equals mx plus b, of a line who has a slope of 2 and goes through or passes through the point 2, 5. Now, again, remember the first number is x, the second number is y. They don't give us the y-intercept. That's not a 0. If this was a 0, I wish it was, then that would be the y-intercept, but it's not. So how do we find the y-intercept? We need to find the right value of b. Well, the way we do that is we're going to manipulate this equation just a little bit. In other words, I'm going to minus mx from both sides. And again, if this part confuses you, just wait and then just get to this next part where I minus the mx. Just remember that our b value now can be found by taking a y value and minusing the slope times an x value. So in other words, all I did was I brought this mx term to the other side. So b is equal to y minus mx. Now remember, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for b. And guess what? I know an x value, I know a y value, and I know my slope. So the way I find b is my b value is going to be take the y value they give you, which is 5, minus off, take your slope, which is 2, times it by your x value that was paired with that y value of 5, and that x value was 2. And so I get 5 minus 4, because do the multiplication first, follow order of operations, and I find out my b value is 1. Now that I know my b value and I know my slope, I can write the equation. Y equals, what's my slope? 2. Always remember to write x, and my b value is 1, so plus 1. I've written the equation. The only thing is I had to find the b value. Let's do another one, because we're going to get slopes with fractions, but they shouldn't be very difficult. So let's do this one. Y equals mx plus b, and off to the side I'm going to write the b value can be found by taking a y value and minusing off m times x. So let's say this line has a slope of negative 2/3, and it passes through the point 6, 7. Okay, again, 6, 7, that's definitely not the y-intercept. So I don't know my b value. I do know my slope, my m value, but I got to figure out what the b value is. So I'm going to use this form to find my b value. I'm going to find out that b is equal to, what's the y value they give you? Remember, the y value is always the second number in the ordered pair. So I'm going to take 7. I'm going to minus off. Now this is important. I'm minusing off my slope, but my slope is negative. So I'm minusing off a negative 2/3 times my x value, which is 6. So again, if you need a calculator, by all means use a calculator, but I know a negative times a negative, or two negatives, is going to make it positive. 2/3 times 6 is actually going to be 4, because I cross cancel, but 2/3 times 6 is 4. 7 plus 4 is 11. My b value is 11. My slope is negative 2/3. I can now write my equation. Y equals slope of negative 2/3. Always times x, and then my b value is a positive 11 plus 11. And I'm done. I've written the equation. One more, then I'll let you do them on your own. So again, y equals mx plus b is the form we want to get it in. If we're not given b, we can find b by taking a y value and minusing off m times x, or the slope times the x value. So let's say our slope is, I don't care, negative 1/7. And let's say we pass through the point 7, negative 4. Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to find our b value, because they don't give us the b value. 7 is not 0. Remember, this is x, this is y. So I'm going to take my y value, which is negative 4. So I'm going b equals, I'm following this formula up here, by the way. I'm taking my y value, which is negative 4. I'm going to minus off my slope. My slope is a negative 1/7. Times my x value. The x value from my point is 7. So my b equals a negative 4 minus a minus. It's going to be plus 1/7 times 7 is 1. Negative 4 plus 1, it's negative 3. So my b value is negative 3. So I can write my equation now. Y equals, what's my slope? Negative 1/7. Always times x. And then my b value, which I calculated over here, was negative 3, so it's minus 3. And we've written our equation. So the only difference now is that we might have to find our y-intercept by using this form of the formula, where I take the y value minus off the slope times the x value. If you have any questions, please bring them to class.